Oh. Oh no.
March 3rd, 2017 marks the launch of the Nintendo Switch, with, let's face it, Breath of the Wild being at the forefront of this game's lineup, with many more titles coming along the pipeline. And I was completely into the hype, and on March 3rd, I got up bright and early and went right to the computer because I didn't buy the Nintendo Switch until a year later. Then, when next March arrived, I finally picked up the Switch along with Breath of the Wild and Super Mario Odyssey. And in my absolute haste to play Super Mario Odyssey, I tossed it aside and played the Breath of the Wild instead for like 50 hours. And since then, I've been sidelining Super Mario Odyssey again and again for anything that's even remotely more interesting. But why? Why did I never play this game? By all accounts, this should have been the top of my priority list. But, you know what? No more excuses. I am going to play this game. I am going to beat this game. I am going to complete this game.
There will be spoilers ahead, so if you have not played Super Mario Odyssey yet, this video will pretty much spoil everything for you. So if you wanted to go play it, you should probably back out now. You have been warned. Okay, so we have the main protagonist Bowser trying to save Princess Peach from the clutches of Mario. And if you don't believe me, you are wrong, because Bowser is clearly dressed for the occasion. Just look at him. This is probably the best made outfit I've ever seen on Bowser. Anyways, as the clear antagonist of this story, Mario gets booted off the ship because of his lack of drip and lands into an unknown world. This is where we are introduced to Cappy, a hat. He introduced himself and wants to help Mario on his journey since Princess Peach also had a living hat. Okay, so, like, if they see a regular hat, do they see, like, a corpse or, like, a mannequin?
I'm thinking too much on this, but I wonder what they eat. Like, does Cappy, like, eat Mario's thoughts or something? Or, like, does he, like, filter feed like a clam?
Getting back on track here, let's talk about some gameplay. So, to longtime Super Mario fans, they all know that Nintendo loves to add a specific gimmick to each game to draw people in. And this is especially true in the Super Mario franchise. Let's see, Super Mario Sunshine had Flood, which was the backpack that shoots out water. And then you had Gravity in Super Mario Galaxy 1 and 2 that you kind of worked with. And then you even had like the little touchscreen blocks in New Super Mario Bros. U. And in this one, you get to like throw your hat. And your hat, or Cappy, is your tour guide and companion for this journey. You can attack by throwing your hat at enemies, or have it like spin freely in the air to let you jump on it, giving you more height or a farther jump. But the main thing, the main gimmick we need to talk about, is the fact that you can take over creatures and objects. And this is where the variety of the game really shines. Since you can take over other creatures, you could just do different actions or abilities that you wouldn't be able to do as Mario. Some of my favorites including being that bouncy seal that you could use for racing, or a Goomba, or a whole stack of Goombas. I like to imagine the stack of Goombas that the ones below are just kind of like, I'll let the guy above me worry about my life now. And sometimes you just need a big enough stack to impress the lady Goomba. And I also like the caterpillar thing. He can stretch out, and the entire time I played as this creature, I kept making sound effects when I stretched out, and that was just so damn fun. Sometimes you can control inanimate objects as well, and, well, I can't really explain why. It does make for some enticing gameplay. As for regular mechanics, there really isn't too much else to explain that's outside of the standard Mario skill set. Except rolling. I don't think Mario ever did rolling before. Did they do rolling before?
I don't really feel like checking. Just believe me.
Now wait. There is one more thing to mention here since it did affect my gameplay. Now, when I play most of these games on the Switch, I usually stick with third-party controllers since I find them more comfortable to play. And cheaper. But later on, when you're trying to complete the game, you start running into some issues that you just cannot overcome without a Joy-Con or Pro Controller. You see, in Mario Odyssey, you can get a little extra something from shaking the official controllers, which will help with performing, let's say, a spin attack, or to make some enemies you take over speed up. And for some moons, you just need to do that. So keep in mind, you'll eventually have to switch to Joy-Cons or a Pro Controller if you are looking to 100% the game. Now let's talk collectibles. So, you have 3 major collectibles in the game. You have moons, which is the main collectible in the game, and hoo-wee, there are a lot of them. And unlike the other major collectibles you get in previous titles where they were just rewards for completing certain objectives, these act more like a Easter egg hunt. They could be just under or in rocks, or you can get them for completing smaller mini-game-like challenges, and some are just out in the open. And I think this is kind of a welcome change, but also kind of a double-edged sword. On one hand, you can quite literally play the game how you like. If you don't want to get that moon, you don't have to. And there's plenty of others you can get. And if you're just wanting to beat Bowser, it lets you do it at just about any skill level. It's just crazy how new player friendly this game is. You also get a sense of achievement because you're always being rewarded with moons or one of the other currencies for just about anything you do. On the other hand, it does feel like a bit too much. If you don't care about completing the game, this isn't really a problem for you. But for me, who likes to see everything completed, there's a fine line between fun and busy work. And you need to be careful not to cross that line with long play sessions.
Just like me, who thought it was a good idea to stream it for 20 hours straight. Don't judge me. Just take a sip. And be like, that's a fine sip of Odyssey right there. And just come back later.
Luckily, Nintendo knew this as well and added a blue toad that can tell you the location of a moon for a small fee, or a parrot that has a very small hat that gives hints on what the moon is called in your action guide, but will only give you like 1 to 3 hints at a time. And if you're broke in the game, you can go spend money in real life and buy some amiibo to help you find your moons, or get yourself some additional costumes.
You're welcome, Nintendo.
The second collectible are coins, and while historically not playing a big role in previous games, well, most of them, this one does. The coins will allow you to buy additional costumes, which we will get into a little later on, to additional hearts that will allow you to have more health, and even a moon that is one of the moons to collect. Later on, you can just keep buying moons, and as soon as you beat Bowser, there's a lot more that you can buy from the store. And this also hurts a little since you not only need to grind for moons, but if you want to just be a pile of bones, you gotta collect a down payment for a house's worth of coins to do it. Good thing Luigi's got my back. Floating on balloons. He's being carried by like 5 balloons. Luigi's Balloon World, an online feature that allows you to hunt for balloons that other players have hid. And if you have a decent amount of skill in the game, I recommend this method on collecting coins. In my playthrough, it took about 20 to 25 minutes to get a full 9,999 coins, and you'll still need to do that a few times to get all of the extra costumes from the store. The third collectible is the local world's currency, located by being a bright metallic purple object unique to the area. And while it's not as important, it is neat that you could buy additional costumes and souvenirs that you could deck out your Odyssey with. So that's neat. Also, you need them for additional moons, and to brag to your friends that you've spent way too much time finding them in the first place. Or you looked up a guide. I have no shame. Oh, I actually forgot all about assist mode. In this mode, you have areas that can help guide you to the main objectives, and moons that help you complete the game. So if you care even less about this game and you just want to beat it without looking left or right, just follow the blue arrows. This game has no shortage of bosses. Well, first we have the main villains, the Brutals, who are a bunch of rabbits from the moon, I guess? And these guys will show up multiple times. They're like the bosses for worlds that don't get to have their own bosses. And then there are bosses specific to the world. Bosses, like that stone dude that tries to smash you with his hands. And then the centipede robot with the portals. And of course there's that completely out of place ruined dragon. But regardless, none of the bosses are particularly difficult, but they definitely are interesting and creative. For example, the Kukatoil, I think that's what it's called, has you fight the whole fight as the little ball of flame thing. And you need to climb up the river of pink stuff the Kukatoil is throwing up. A lot more grass when you think about it.
Now that I think about it, all of the bosses, other than the Brutals, require you to use your hack gimmick. I'm surprised it took me that long to realize this. Okay.
Anyways, you also get to fight the Discount Power Rangers robot. And of course you fight Bowser as well. Honestly, these are all pretty enjoyable fights. And later on in the post-game, you can fight harder versions of these bosses as well. So that's a neat touch. The graphics in this game are just simply incredible. The amount of variation between the worlds to make them feel completely different should also be commended. All of the worlds have the appropriate feel to them, and it takes a lot of skill and mastercraft to pull that kind of stuff off. For example, the Wood Kingdom is filled with greenery with these overgrown research laboratories in the center. Metro Kingdom and New Donk City is vibrant and full of life with bustling taxis and people walking around. But you still have it like gamified, so you could just go wherever you want in these maps. And each part of these worlds are made with just so much care. The piles of food in the Food Kingdom look like it's almost supposed to be there. And I just really can't gush about the graphics and the feel of the game enough here. But in the end, this is kind of what these types of games need. They require almost. In order to get the player to want to explore every inch of the stage or world or level they built, they need to make them want to do it. Not only do they want to make it look pretty, but they need to pique your curiosity as well. And using the little odd tidbits and otherwise the that doesn't look quite right moments really does display how much thought was put into the graphic and general design of the game. And it does really all boil down to that presentation. And it plays a huge part in what makes this game get that awe-inspiring reaction. And Super Mario Odyssey has that in spades. That being said, the soundtrack in this game is absolutely one of the best I've heard in the Mario franchise. They went above and beyond with it to the point where I'm playing a single level for 3 hours, and there's not even a hint that I'm bothered that I'm still listening to the music. On top of that, even if you don't care for the track that you're currently listening to, they give you an option to select a song that you do like instead. But I don't think I really used it at all other than to get moons from the Jammin' Toad. I always enjoyed the various amounts of 8-bit renditions the songs they have as well, which was a cool touch. So other than the usual beat Bowser and save the kingdoms in this case, well, you do that of course, but you only really beat like 15% of the total game if you do the bare minimum amount. About 40% of these moons you can't even access until you beat the game in the first place, in the form of those moon cubes. Those moon cubes bring out even more moons spread across the map with more warp pipe lines leading to even more challenging areas for you to test yourself with. With all the missions combined, you have 880 moons to get. That's insane if you only need like 150 or so to get the Bowser. And on top of that, you can still collect more moons. You can get 999 moons that show up on your Odyssey. On top of that, you get 3 bonus areas after you beat Bowser for the first time, which is the Dark Side of the Moon, which in my opinion is the hardest challenges in the whole game. And you even get the darker side of the moon, which is just a large gauntlet to test your skills. And it wasn't really too difficult, but it's going to take you a few tries to kind of memorize what you have to do. And you also unlock the Mushroom Kingdom, and this is honestly so cool. You get an homage to Super Mario 64 here, with Peach's Castle in the middle, and you get the achievement moons here as well. Which, if your meet resulted, literally sitting there collecting 40 moons in a row because you completed everything you had beforehand. And honestly, all these bonuses are just really cool to have. This is also the spot where you get to fight those extra challenging bosses. You also get some additional challenges here, like there's a really cool like day and night 2D Mario section, and I really like that as well.
This game offers so much. This sheer polish in his movements, the massive worlds, the unique locations, and an ability to cater to all audiences with its range of gameplay. You've got easy for those who are just looking to enjoy themselves, to that soul-crushing difficulty that makes you feel like your friend's uncle that works at Nintendo has it out for them specifically. This game really doesn't have many downsides. And it shows that even after several decades of Super Mario platformers, Nintendo knows how to still make a modern classic that will be one of the best in the series. So it's pretty obvious that I recommend this game to just about anyone, literally anyone. With so many ways to play and so many levels of accessibility, there's really no reason not to, no matter the skill level that you have. So with that in mind, this game deserves a spot in my game collection.
Thank you so much for watching my video on Super Mario Odyssey. If you enjoyed the video, please leave a comment and like the video. And if you want to see more of me, you can check out my streams at twitch.tv/balongaming or check out some of my previous videos right here. See ya!